how I like to write, I basically do not like the superficial kind of writing because I believe that fashion can in fact be used to tell a number of things. So think politics, think business, think racism, sexuality, gender, and all of that. It's really just about having conversations with a lot more depth and nuance, but also using fashion as the base, like the premise for it.
This is Marketing Over Wine, a podcast where we talk to the marketers behind the companies, strategies, and campaigns you see in the world today. You get to share the strategies and tools they use, how they manage their earnings and price their services, and the mistakes and successes they have made in their career. So whether you're just starting out in marketing and need to learn the ropes, or you're an experienced marketer seeking fresh perspectives, or a business owner looking for insights to boost your brand, you're in the right place. Each episode is an unfiltered masterclass, so come join us. I am your host, Olawumi Olaniyi. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Over Wine podcast. Our guest on today's episode is the fashionable Elvis Kachi. Elvis is a freelance journalist focusing on fashion, beauty, and culture. Over the years, he has worked with leading brands like BBC News, Essence Magazine, Folklore, OK Africa, Quartz Africa, Mail and Guardian, Them, and so many more. Thank you for joining me, Elvis.
Thank you for having me.
And congrats on your new role at Beauty Matter.
Thank you so much.
This is the part where I ask you to send a bottle of wine as a sort of like congratulatory thing or celebratory thing.
I mean, are you sure you're not supposed to be the person who's going to send me wine, though? You know, to say, oh, congrats on getting this job.
You got the job. You got the job. So congrats on that. There's this saying that fashion professionals only wear oversized clothes. Do you know why?
No, I don't.
Because they excel in fashion. I'm sorry, that was a very dry joke.
I was just wondering, I don't think I've heard that before, but that's interesting.
All right, let's get this party started. Your social media profile and portfolio describe you as a fashion and beauty journalist. What does it mean to be a fashion journalist?
I mean, I guess I think it's really just, doing stories around fashion, you know, because how I like to write, I basically do not like the superficial kind of writing, you know, beyond featuring designers, photographers, stylists, pretty much anyone who works within the creative industry.
Yeah.
I like to use my stories to tell something with much more nuance. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So because I believe that fashion can in fact be used to tell a number of things. So think politics, think business, think racism, think sexuality, gender, and all of that. So that's how I feel, or how I think that fashion can be used to talk about that. So that's really just how I would describe fashion journalism, to be honest. It's really just about having conversations with a lot more depth and nuance, but also using fashion as, you know, the base, like the premise for it.
Well, I never looked at fashion as that. I think many people outside fashion journalism or fashion writing just see fashion as basically writing about clothes, writing about the new styles and things like that.
Yeah, it's really much more than that.
So while I was doing my research for this podcast episode, I realized that there is a lot of misconception and mix-up about fashion bloggers, fashion journalists. And why some people say that they are different, others say that they are the same. But let's put this topic to rest today. Is there a difference between a fashion blogger and a fashion journalist as you have defined? And if yes, what are the differences?
Well, basically, it's really just both of those fields, I guess, are like working in one thing, which is fashion, right? But in my own opinion, I think that there are a few distinct differences. And the first one for me would most likely be fashion journalists. I guess they're much more grounded in it. Like they have a more professional approach than fashion bloggers would. Okay. Do you understand? So I'm literally currently in the UK now trying to study fashion journalism because I kind of want to like, you know, have that professional degree. But like fashion bloggers might not necessarily go through that route. Yeah. And fashion blogging, in my own opinion, how I see it, I think it's really more about like, you know, content creation, because that's really how it has evolved. Obviously, there's like a little bit of writing to it, but right now with the emergence of the creators economy, I think that that's what fashion blogging really is all about, you know, doing content around fashion and all of that. But fashion journalism, it's not entirely that. Fashion journalism involves a lot more research, involves a lot more practicing in it, involves a lot more talking to designers and like stylists and anyone who works in the creative field, right? right? But fashion blogging, I think, really just focuses on, creating content, being like this influencers, tapping into, the creators economy and influencer marketing. Yeah, and all of that. But basically, it's really just fashion, the fashion industry generally, but there's quite a difference in my own opinion.
Thank you for your opinion. I think I would liken it to, if fashion blogging is a bricklayer, fashion journalist is the engineer. While a bricklayer knows the ideas or knows some things about building a house, he does not necessarily know much about the terminology, so the technical aspects of it that an engineer would know. I guess that's the idea you talked about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that makes sense, actually.
All right, then. You mentioned that you are currently in the UK to study fashion journalism, and I would like to talk more about that. But before then, let's talk about how it all started. The big bang of your writing career. How did you get into fashion writing?
Wow, that's so. I'm just going to give you the story I'm always talking about.
I'm all in. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I apply for roles and you kind of want to know how I entered. But it's honestly a very cliche statement, but I've really always been involved in fashion since I was way younger.
Okay.
Right. I remember starting my mom and my sister, doing everything fashion related. I literally went to fashion school, but not fashion school in Nigeria. I think it's more fashion house. So think about going to any of these established brands and just learning under them. So that's kind of what I did, except that for me, it felt like a degree. But yeah, I did pattern draft and all of that. But before then, like I said, I was, very involved in fashion. But also I had parents who leveraged on the skills of their children and helped us build on it. So I was more of the English person, so I did a lot of writing. I loved communication. I liked to talk and all of that. But then I also had a sister who was very well grounded in mathematics, and I had a younger brother who really loved computer systems. So dismantle them and then build them back up and all of that. So my father saw all of that. So he made me write long and short stories. Made my sister really do financing and accounting, and then my brother is currently doing computer engineering. So that's kind of how we did
building
that.
On each other's strengths.
Yeah, exactly. Helped us build our strengths, and we just leveraged on that. But I also wanted to work in fashion, right? But also because, you are African and you understand that they might have a little bit of doubt when it comes to, choosing a career path within that. So what I mean by that is they would want to be a doctor or a lawyer because of being an author, being a writer doesn't really have a very sustainable thing. They didn't think that people who were designers or people who wrote had money. So I got into school anyway, and I knew that I was not going to study because I majored in agriculture, and I knew I was not going to practice it, to be honest. But for the sake of it, I kind of, wanted to go to school, and I just was living through it. But whilst I was doing that, I went on into the fashion school that I said, but more fashion house, I'm always saying, because we do not have, accredited fashion schools in Nigeria. I went there and I learned about pattern drafting. I learned about fashion illustration. I learned about the business of fashion. It was really more about practical aspects of it. So I learned to sew. So I do know how to use a sewing machine because I want to be a designer. I literally had a fashion brand that was built on Instagram that almost all of the famous people were following me. And I'm very sure they don't know it's me because I wanted very faceless. I didn't want my face to be on it at all. But whilst I did that, COVID happened, and one of my friends was going to Port Harcourt at the time, and because of COVID, school had to dismiss everybody, and I didn't want to go home, so I just told my parents that I was going to go with one of my friends to Port Harcourt because I think he had a job in there to do. I think he had to interview somebody. I can't really remember, but we went there and then we stayed with somebody. It was supposed to be for a week, I think, or 2 weeks, but that turned to 3 months or so. We literally stayed there for a very, very we stayed there for a very long time because then there was the intrastate ban. So we're in Port Harcourt, and I don't know if you know, but the governor was very stringent. The Port Harcourt governor, he was very stringent. We couldn't travel back to our cities, so we had to stay there, and that's how we had this prolonged visit. It really wasn't supposed to be that long, but I think it went from 2 weeks on to being 2-3 months or so. But whilst we were there, it just didn't make sense that we shouldn't be liabilities to the person we're with because they were bringing in money, they were bringing in food, they were doing a lot of things, and it just didn't make sense, having all of that in spite of all of the things that was happening. People were being laid off and all of that, so it just made us sense for us to being to sort of look for how we could also have money and also support, right? So that's literally how we started. So we began to pitch to a few people, right? So my friend now, Robert Solomon, so that's how both of us began to pitch ideas to a few magazines and publications. But that's how we both started, and that's how I copped the role for being the first African fashion editor for Vanity Tin in Europe. I'm always saying, Vanity Tin was very, very Eurocentric, and we wanted to bring in a new kind of audience, the African audience. And I told them that, I could help them do that. And I think I did a pretty amazing job at it, to be honest.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks. So that happened, and that's how I got the role for being, the African editor for Vanity. Whilst I was doing that, I became really, really active on LinkedIn. So that's how I started fashion writing, right? So that's how I began to write. I began to interview photographers, stylists. I began to work with them. We began to create really, really amazing editorials and campaigns. But that's also the period I became very, very active on LinkedIn as well. I began to, write from my own experience. I began to do whatever it is I know I could do. And then somebody from Business in Nigeria reached out to me, and they were like, oh, they want me to contribute to Business Day. I guess like a franchise of Business Day, but it's on Business Day, just that it was going to be for the weekend. And I thought, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so that's how I began to work with them. And I think I did that for 9 months.
Okay.
So during that time, I then, began to learn about pitching because I didn't really know anything about pitching.
Funny enough, the next question I was going to ask you was going to be around pitching. But please go ahead.
Everything I know, honestly, myself and my friend, was really just what we got from the internet. So we began to read about how to pitch ideas, what the best format was and all of that.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, that's literally how it started. We began to learn about how to pitch, who to reach out to, what was the best format and all of that. Because before then, there were a number of successful quote unquote freelancers here. But I remember reaching out to one of them, and honestly, the response I got, I just couldn't digest it. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to learn this to myself, because I honestly try to avoid anything that's going to make me feel embarrassed about something. Obviously it's great to reach out and ask for help, but when it doesn't seem like the person is going to, be forthcoming, you kind of have to also look out for yourself as well. Yeah. So that's kind of what I did. Yeah, so I began to pitch, and that's how I literally got on Vanity, and I got on Business Day. I think outside of that, I also began to do a lot of ghost writing for a very, very cheap amount. I'm never going to go into that, but it was so funny because now I look back, I'm just like, this is so crazy, because how was I collecting 1,500 naira for an entire article?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so crazy. I remember when somebody...
Honestly, I think many of us had our humble beginning of wherever the money comes from.
And I was so happy at the time. I was just when he comes, I would just call my friend oh my God, they have paid me. And we were so excited, But it's just wild, because thinking about it, it was ghostwriting, and ghostwriters make tons of money, because obviously they're not going to get credit for it. You get what I mean? So yeah, but I guess in building myself and my career, those are some of the compromises and the improvisations I kind of had to make, to kind of be where I currently am. But yeah, so that's how I moved on from there. I moved on from Vanity, and then I moved from Vanity and Business Day, and then I began to have my pieces across all of these platforms. I remember one of the earliest platforms for me was More Branches and Native Mag, Mail and Guardian as well. I remember reaching out to somebody on LinkedIn because I was very active, and I think a number of people liked the kind of content I was posting, and they really just loved it. So when I reached out to them for help, or oh, do you have an email I could send? So they were very willing to help me with that.
Nice.
So that's why I got an email on Mail and Guardian. So those were the early days of my freelancing. So currently I'm the content director for Marmalade Ventures, Marmalade Collective, which is this media agency in the UK. Okay. Then going on into being a guest lecturer for universities in South Africa and in the UK, Farmers University in the UK, huge. And radio. Yeah, those are very, very defining moments for me, to be honest, because it really felt I haven't even gotten a master's degree at the time, and I'm already lecturing master's students, which is honestly very, very wow. But yeah, and that's how I worked at Condé Nast, where I'm currently working with Kantar, which is one of the best marketing agencies. I have my pieces on BBC and all of those places. So that's pretty much the journey. And then obviously with the staff writer role with
Beauty Matter.
Yes, Beauty Matter, and I'm currently working on something with Fashion Africa now, which is one of the major publications that focuses on Africa. I haven't really announced that yet, but
wow.
Yeah, that's
I mean, we're getting the exclusive over here. All right, that's very, very inspiring story.
Yeah, thank you.
It's more or less the started from the bottom kind of thing.
Yeah.
Tomorrow now, when you were probably giving a speech, you can say, I started writing in a room during lockdown with one laptop or just 100 naira in my pocket.
Yeah, it's fun. I literally didn't have a laptop at the time. I even remember having to force my father to buy me a laptop. That was for 30k, and then they had to send it, because then I was still in Port Harcourt, and they had to use DHL to send it. Oh, well, it's been a long journey now that I think about
Well done,
it.
well done, well done on your growth. Well
Yeah,
done.
thank you.
All right then. Speaking of amount you were paid back then, the 1,005 and all of that. Since then, based on your career journey so far, I'm very curious about this. What is the most you have earned on a gig or a role or a project since getting into fashion writing?
I think one of the highest jobs I have been paid for. When I started, I think one of the highest I was paid was like $600.
Wow.
I don't think I'm allowed to like call the name of the publication. Yeah,
That's
but
fine. That's fine.
yeah, that was like $600, and I swear that it was so good because I was still in school and it was such a huge money. I can't even like. I mean, considering the economic situation in Nigeria, you like obviously have to start earning dollars if you are going to keep head above water.
Yeah.
So it was really good. I remember I was still in school. I remember I couldn't even have the money. I don't know why it wasn't happening. I had to travel from Benin to Lagos. I had to go to the head office at Zenith Bank because I was using Zenith Bank at the time to ask them what's going on. This is such a huge money. There was no way I was going to, there was no way I was going to live it. But yeah, there was that. I also remember working with a fashion tech company that paid me around like $800 as well. I think this was last year.
Were these for just single time,
Yes,
one-time
this was
projects?
just so it was freelancing, right?
Yeah.
So it was freelancing. So that was like how much this publication paid. I think they dropped it by $100 now. So they have like a flat rate to how much they pay now.
Oh.
Yeah, but the fashion tech company, they reached out to me on LinkedIn. Like I said, like LinkedIn is such a huge resource. Whoever is listening to this, please like get on that platform, to be honest, because it's honestly a very good one. Yeah, so they reached out to me on LinkedIn as well, and then we had like this really brief interview. They asked me how much I wanted to collect, and I was like, oh, this is how much I'm charging. So we had like come to negotiation, obviously. So that came on, and after writing that one article, because it was supposed to be like an ebook or so. So I had an article I worked on with them, and then I also had like an ebook, but I think it was around 800 and something because I gave them a per word rate. So this is how much I'm going to be charging per word.
Okay.
Right. So I gave them that. Yeah, and it was around like $800 or so, $800 and something anyways.
Voila.
So that's that. I'm trying to think of like there's another. It's not in my head now, but I know there was this. Yeah. Oh, okay. So another agency hit me up. I wanted me to also work with them. I'm currently on a project with them right now, but I did that and the money was around like $950.
Oh wow.
Because I had to move I was moving through the entire, because I lived on the island when I was in Lagos. So I moved through the entire island, mainland, trying to source what they wanted me to do. I remember even having to like commission one driver. I was like, you're going to drive me through the day on the mainland, we're just going to go through that. But yeah, just like some of the highest amounts I've been. This is besides my work with, Beauty Matter and all of that.
Okay. How did all of this feel though? Coming from 1,005 per article.
No, it felt really good to be honest. That was like $2. Imagine moving from like $2. I'm always seeing it on my LinkedIn. I'm always like, this is so wild to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was so excited. Imagine being paid $2 for one piece. And for someone like myself who till this very time, I'm not too big on like negotiating because I really don't know how to do it, to be honest. Most of the times I have to call one of my friends, she's Peter Job, who is the managing editor for Quartz Africa. I had to always talk to him. So this is how much this person is going to commission. Do I say okay? And it's like, you can always tell them to, this is what it is, because obviously you're not like UK based and it's no longer business as usual, because here like you have to be paying your monthly rents. Like obviously there's the cost of living crisis in the UK. It's just a lot. So that's kind of how, to be honest, like I really am not big on like negotiating, but I guess it's something that sort of like comes with the job and knowing that I'm actually really bad at it. Like I really know what I'm doing with these writing things, so I kind of need to be paid my worth. Yeah, it's something that comes with it. It's something that comes with looking at your portfolio and thinking, I've been on these major platforms, so if I'm here, it really means that I have to be doing something right.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's kind
you
of
deserved it. You've worked to it. Well done.
You.
Would you say that the certification, the course you're currently taking in the UK, would you say it's having a major impact on your fashion journalism career than the practical experience that you have had all along your journey?
Oh yeah, for sure. Of course. Like that's one of the major reasons I had to leave. To be honest, I'm doing so well, within the fashion journalism space. like fashion and culture journalism space, to be honest. So I really just wanted to have like a more grounded experience, because all of the things I know in fashion is very, focused on Africa.
Yeah.
Yes, and whilst, we are also trying to like, shape the cultural zeitgeist, I also wanted to have this experience. I wanted to see what European fashion was all about.
A well-rounded experience.
Yes, exactly. I kind of wanted to also get that and also sort of expose myself to the culture and also the people. I wanted to, right now, I think the people I'm closest to right now are from Asia. Like, they're literally Indians. Because if you really read on like fashion news now, Indians are also really, really one of the major people now who are having this much impact within the fashion industry. Everybody's talking about India. It sort of like has moved from China. Maybe not moved, but now light is being shown on, Indians as well. So I wanted to be exposed to that much diversity. I wanted to have this much cultural experience. I wanted to see what it was like. So of course, it's definitely shaping.
Yeah.
Something that I would say though, in full transparency, is how scared I am, to be honest.
That's fine.
Yeah, in full transparency, it's how scared I am, to be honest, because literally I'm like, I don't know anybody in the UK, to be honest. I'm the first in my family to ever migrate.
Wow.
So the transitioning is, transition is also really hard. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And also because within the journalism space right now, a lot of media is laying off their staff.
Yeah.
So I guess people do not, what's the word? People barely think that journalism doesn't really, it's no longer exciting anymore, like people are now really scared of the kind of stories that they want to tell. Magazines are now really focused on more advertisement than they would with, what it used to be and all of that. So that's kind of the fear. I'm like, wait, did I really just travel to a place to study, and now I'm doing fashion journalism, which is much more niche.
Yeah.
If it was just like, regular journalism, then I could say, oh, okay, I can, focus on this and like just maybe begin to transition into something that I think is going to be more sustainable. But yeah, I guess we've already, entered, so we kind of have to
yeah. All right. Firstly, thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your honesty. And I can't say I can relate to the fear you're feeling currently because, well, I've not been to the UK yet, but I think I can relate to the fear of being somewhere unknown, more or less, like niching down, especially for a writer. We hear that if you niche down, it puts you at a better opportunity for more jobs, but in the reality of things, especially from the country we are from, you realize that often than not, it is almost always better to be a jack of all trades, because when somebody tell you, can you write on this topic? Definitely, you're not going to say no. You say, yes, I can write on it, even though you have not written about it before. We're great at research, so it just takes going to Google to go and research about something. So yeah, I completely understand the fear of niching down.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say that I'm honestly still an advocate for niching down, to be honest. I still very much believe that it really places you, it's really just about speaking from a place of authority.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah, like, because then people are always like, oh, this person already has an experience in this stuff, so it's definitely going to, but also it really sort of like, limits
the opportunities you have access to.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, like how wide they're going to spread the tentacles. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still think that, niching also really just, basically, why I always say this is, I'm always going to say that, like, fashion can be used to do anything, because I know somebody asked me that, and I said, somebody was very concerned about it, like, oh, that the bulk of experiences in fashion, and I'm like, yes, but like fashion can be used to talk about anything. I really think it depends on how well you sell yourself, to be honest, like how convincing you are at the kind of job that you do. If it's gonna be for you, it's gonna come anyways. So
I like that word, and I'm rooting for you, by the way. I'm rooting for you.
Great, thank you. I genuinely need all of the rooting at this point.
I'm rooting for you. So I'm hoping that maybe in the next 1 year we can have this sort of call again and do a feedback sort of thing on how your journey has been so far. So I'm rooting for you, and I know you'll definitely smash it.
Thank you. I hope so.
Well done. You mentioned that many of the roles, many of the gigs you've gotten have been via LinkedIn. What exactly did you do in that route? Did you have to optimize your profile, as they always say? Did you have to post on LinkedIn every day? What was it for you? Or did you have to instead personalized connection requests and email messages, all of those things? What was it for you that brought these gigs?
I have been preaching the LinkedIn gospel for a very long time, and I honestly feel like at this point they kind of have to, make me an ambassador, because I was literally You know, I was literally talking to one of my friends about it today. What did I do? What did I do? I think most times people get misinformed on how to use the platform.
True.
Right. So obviously, I'm telling you now that, like, you can get gigs and jobs there, and then people go on there because they want to get gigs. And we all know that thing about the more you chase after something, the more it runs away from you. Yeah. So I think what I did, to be honest, was, well, I started doing links. Somebody also told me about it. They were like, send personalized messages to all of these people. And, that worked for me at some point, but it wasn't really giving me jobs. It just made them know who I was, but it didn't really. So what I'll do, if I want to connect with you, for example, Alani, I'll look for your name, look for your surname, go on Google, look for any of the keyword, look for anything that you have said. Did you appear on any video? Did you say anything? And then I'll now come on to say, oh, I really loved, this thing that you said here, this, that, and that, that's sort of like the personalization. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that made them know me, but also it didn't really bring me jobs. But I think one of the things that helped me was I was very intentional about, like, the kind of people I connected with. I wanted to work in fashion and beauty and culture. So anything outside of that didn't interest me at all. It's why I'm still talking. I'm always going to talk about, like, niching down. So anything outside of it, I didn't really find interest in it. I hope that I'm not going to shoot myself on the foot by saying this, but
no, go ahead. We're a big supporter of transparency on this podcast, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's the honest reality. It was. I just knew that I want to, like, work with, like, a publication and work with a magazine. I wanted to. That's where I had the interest in. And I didn't really want to write about oil and gas. Like, I really came back. I wanted this fashion, So that's kind of what I began to do. I began to connect with people on LinkedIn who were fashion editors or, like, beauty editors, people who worked in magazines. So, for example, I'll look for any magazine. On LinkedIn, you can look for any magazine, go to, like, the people section, begin to see people who work there.
Yeah.
I began to connect with those people because then it felt like, oh, I wanted to work in a magazine. I wanted to work with a magazine. So they, whatever it is that they posted, whoever it is that they interacted with, I get to see it as well. And then I began to also, like, make interactions. And then I also began to, like, build relationships. Obviously, it's a thing where if somebody likes my post, I'm definitely going to like their post back. I don't care whether or not I can relate with it, unless it's very, very extreme and not something that, I can relate with. So I'm not going to do anything. But if I see you interact with my post, I will be compelled to do the same. If you comment to my post, I'm going to comment to your post as well. So that's something that also really happened, So whilst doing that, we sort of, like, began to build a community. Oh, this person was commenting on my post, then I have to do that as well.
Other person's post,
I began to, yeah, exactly. And then obviously you have to optimize your profile. That's like LinkedIn 101.
Yeah.
Optimize your profile. Yeah. So great picture, do all of the description, put in all of the things that you have done, which each role, obviously put in the banner or whatever. Another mistake I made sure I didn't make was looking at LinkedIn as, one badass professional 100% site.
Yeah.
That was not it for me at all, to be honest.
I think it's the reason why a lot of us run from LinkedIn these days.
Yeah, that was not me. I look at LinkedIn like it's Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. Like I was telling my friend today, I'm not going to come on and just, wear a suit. I don't even remember the last time I wore a suit and the time posted on LinkedIn. I literally have a nose ring on. I'm going to make my selfie and I'm going to post it there because it's my account and I don't want anybody to come on to police me about it. The current climb of LinkedIn now is really people who are not scared to be vulnerable, who are not scared to be transparent. Let us see beyond the prim and proper. Let us see beyond all of those many things. Like, just come on, just storytell.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, like, let's see it. Like, we want to see behind the scenes. Like, do you get what I mean? So that's kind of what I did. I didn't really care about. Wanted to be very professional. Wanted very professional. Look. That didn't work for me at all. I wanted to be myself and just do my thing. That's also something I did. And another thing I did was I began to post from a place of authority. I knew so much in fashion. I knew so much in, like, African fashion, and I wanted to build a community around that. So I began to post about it because I also saw people who were saying, oh, you kind of have to, like, be consistent in, like, doing what, because that's what you want people to know you for. That's what I want people to know me for. Or the person who comes on, like, do fashion, talk about beauty, talk about culture, because culture for me also involves, like, Africa, queerness, masculinity, all of that. So I began to do that as well. And I was telling my friend today, I don't know, but obviously you want to be consistent, but then most people always, you don't have to post this, that, and that amount of time. Whilst that may be true, I also think that the consistency is not once in 2 weeks. I genuinely do not think so. No pressures, to be honest, no pressures. But personally, for me, consistency is not, oh, I'm going to post once in a month. Nobody's going to see you.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Like, you're dragging all of us by our head.
I'm going to be honest, like that's how I see that. That's how I did it. I'm not gonna lie,
Okay.
Other people might come on and just, give something entirely different, but this is from my experience and that's how I understand it.
Definitely.
So for example, I was in Nigeria at the time and there was somebody in the UK who was always coming on to talk about how they needed a job and I didn't know the person's name. And then I now saw somebody who was looking to hire somebody, the role that person was looking for. I forgot the person's name. It was so fortunate that the person posts almost every time.
Yeah.
So after a little bit of scroll, I saw the person's name. I had to go back, this is the person. So I had to tag them on that post. Do you get what I mean? Imagine if they're posting once in a week or once in 2 weeks. After tagging them, I made a post about it and somebody messaged me on LinkedIn, somebody in the UK as well.
Okay.
Was not like, Elvis, can I get the name of that person who you said was in the UK and was looking for a job, I think in London, all of that. And I had to give them the person's profile. Wow. Do you know what I mean? Imagine if they haven't done that.
That's a 2-in-1 thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I was tagging you to something and then somebody's also asking for your profile. I mean, be consistent. You want to be, but I don't think consistency is once in 2 weeks or once in a month to be. I genuinely don't think that. You want to, just go on and just stay, just talk. Nobody's going to beat you. I remember somebody came on. Somebody came on and the person was like, oh, you could easily just make this post. Why did you add a picture? I'm like, for my own profile. You want to police me? So I screenshotted that and then I made a post about it. Do you get? Because for me, everything is content. So I made a post about that as well. Like, it's really time for us to disband that stereotype around. There's no point adding your picture because obviously the algorithm is going to favor you. Like, if you add pictures, if you literally do all of those things, you get. So there's no point coming on to police anybody about why are they adding their picture. Oh my God, why is there so much cleavage? Oh, why are you as a guy? Why is your head? Why are you wearing? Like, just leave people, do your thing. I've blocked for LinkedIn. I can't even lie to you. So if you know the person's content doesn't appeal to you, like, just take it out. It's simple. Yeah. So that's honestly how I see it. So that's how it started for me. Honestly, I was really just posting from a place of authority. Oh, this is kind of what I wanted to always do. So I began to talk about my experiences around that, and then just add a little bit of call to action on it, and that's really.
And you started getting the messages.
Yeah, and then nobody people began to come on to say, oh, this is nice. Do you want to contribute to us? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? So that's really how, that's really how we started. And also, I began to reach out to some of those people as well because I began to build, really amazing following. Not even now again, because there was a time my posts were hitting 500 likes, 300 likes.
Wow.
It was very. I was really
should have gone into influencer marketing.
I'm not even joking. I was really hitting that LinkedIn thing at that time. But yeah, after when I began to reach out to people, hi, I see you work here. I want to work with you, but I'm not sure on how to reach out. Can you send me an email, or can we talk about it here? And then they would now look at my profile. Oh, this looks like somebody who really knows what they're doing.
And then LinkedIn is that Amebo partner. It would alert you that this person has checked your profile.
Like, oh, okay, so you want to check me out? That's fine. You want to check me out? That's okay. So they will do that, and they'll now reach out to me oh, okay, email here, email this, and all of that. But I honestly don't think they'll keep the same energy with somebody who has 60-something connections, and the last time that they interacted with somebody was 3-4 months ago. They're not gonna, the activity really just, it favors it, to be honest.
Okay, this is a shot at everyone, including myself, because I gave up on LinkedIn, I think about a year ago. It started off as because of certain personal reasons. I lost a lot of people in my life at that point. And I wasn't getting that inspiration or that sort of thing or that idea to want to create content when I was in that phase. I lost my jobs also at that point. So it was more or less like a dark phase. And then that lasted for several months and it felt weird coming back. Do I announce, hi everyone, I'm back? Something like that. So I just decided, you know what, for now, LinkedIn, I'm going to ghost.
I think that sometimes we really just overplay these things, to be honest. I can promise you.
From an overthinker, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, trust me, we are in that boat together. You don't want to see me overthinking things at all, But I'm realizing that sometimes you don't have to overthink it. It's the littlest thing you think is not going to make an impact that people are going to reach out to you for. I was talking to my friend today, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to be bothering so much about what the algorithm is going to do, whether or not I have 2 likes or 3 likes, whether or not it's going to reach 200 people. I don't really care about that anymore because I really feel like it will get out to those people it wants to get out to. I was telling her you know what, maybe begin to post, because there was a time I was posting, I think I began to post 3 times every day, and she was like, wait, the algorithm. I'm like, If the algorithm, like if it's gonna get like 2 people, that's fine. We're going to get 1 person, that's okay. But most of the times, the amount of impressions you get on those posts doesn't even determine whether or not it's going to have like a really great return on investment. Like it's gonna get, this really, somebody's not going to reach out to you because you had like 1,000 likes. It doesn't really matter. You cannot tell what post is going to really bring you, that person who is going to give you a gig that's going to change you forever, right? So like tying into that, I'm just gonna say that this is me talking about LinkedIn because I know it has worked for me, and I know a number of people LinkedIn didn't work for.
Yeah, it worked for me back then too, though.
Exactly. So I think that, just find a platform that works for you. I know somebody now who is eating so much money from Twitter. I don't even know how they do it. I genuinely do not like it. I don't like Twitter. So it's so like I've tried, I went onto Twitter and then I took all of my posts from LinkedIn and then I went onto Twitter. Let me build a community as well. Bruh, it wasn't working for me at all. So I left it. Just find that platform that you think is going to work. The same thing as Instagram as well. Like I came on Instagram, I was getting, the followers, people were now beginning to follow me, commenting and engaging. And at some point, I lost the juice. Like it didn't really appeal to me anymore, So I just stopped. So I'm just saying LinkedIn because obviously LinkedIn really, really works for me, or it's working for me, it worked for me. But, just check on that platform you think is going to work for you. It could be Twitter, it could be Instagram. People are literally, this content creation thing now, people are literally eating off Instagram like it's something else. It could be TikTok. Just find what's going to work for you and just keep ahead. And also be consistent, honestly. Like, don't think that I'm going to try I'm going to do like 31 days challenge. If nothing happens, I'm going to stop. Like, don't do that. Like, don't pressure yourself that much, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Elvis dragging our wigs and our hairs. All right. I'm curious, how do you stay up to date on the trends and the news of the fashion industry?
Oh, it's really just like reading publications, following them, checking on what the publications are posting, and also following like fashion editors, checking on what they are doing, looking at a few hashtags, being subscribed to a few newsletters. So if you're not subscribed, go on to subscribe to Marmalade Ventures, the newsletter.
Okay, Marmalade Ventures.
Yeah, subscribe. I'm just, preaching to people that I work with. So
that's fine.
Yeah, just like subscribe to our newsletters, to be honest, because that's also, I know Marmalade really just take stories from very trusted sources and then just bring it to you, because most of the times you might be very busy and you might not really be on the cusp of the news. So, they just mesh all of these things in one newsletter and just send it to you, and then you check on the stories and also be abreast of what's going on in the news. But that's really what I do. I just check on newsletters. I follow a lot of the platforms on social media. I also follow their editors as well, check on what do they post, also a little bit of hashtags, and also contribute myself, because obviously I also write, and people also tend to keep up what I do as well. So yeah, that's pretty much.
All right then. Imagine this: someone reaches out to you on LinkedIn with the hopes to become a fashion journalist. What skills would you say are needed to be a sought after fashion journalist?
I know it's going to sound weird, but just learn to write. I think that's honestly it, first of all. Because obviously, if you don't know how to write, it might be hard. So you kind of want to learn that, but also know what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm always talking about African fashion, and I know people who reached out to me because, with Beauty Matter, for example, they're like, oh, you really know what's happening within, the fashion and beauty space in Africa, and we kind of want you to help us bring this market. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So just learn, because they even reached out to me on LinkedIn, to be honest. So
I was going to ask that just now.
Yeah, they reached out to me on LinkedIn as well, because one of the editors was like, oh, are you interested in contributing? I was like, for sure. Am I supposed to say no? Of course, I want to do that. So they sent me their email, and then I sent an email to them like, hi, it's me. I'm telling to reach out to you. And then I sent a CV as well. And that's it. Even with the people, oh my God, I'm digressing, but even with the people that I talked to for the ME and the BA schools as well, it was also from LinkedIn that the course leaders also reached out to me. So, it's really just speaking from that place of authority. If you're going to do that, I think one of the major skills, honestly, is being aware of the market, being aware of the kind of place that you want to, cover.
Okay.
I guess also be a very good reader. But this is honest an advice for me, to be honest, because I know it's weird, but I don't really read so much, to be honest. I might just get really tired. I might just read and then I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to skip to the end to see what really happened. You want to be a good reader because it might be harder for you to find your own voice if you do not understand the kind of voices that people write from.
Yeah.
You get? So most people like to write from in a place of storytelling. I don't want to call this person's name, but I have a friend who I've told her I'm obsessed with another friend's writing. I'm obsessed with how this babe writes. The way she writes is so crazy. I'm like, how do you write like that? It's so immersive.
Oh,
She
wow.
makes you feel like you're part of that story. She comes from like, this storytelling angle. The choice of words she used, where she puts her hyphens, the commas, the full stop, everything just, blends so perfectly. So if you want to be as good as a writer, you also have to want to read like, other people's work for you to be able to improve on your skills, like just hone it basically.
Yeah.
So those are the things, be an avid reader, also learn to always write, at least like write a paragraph every day. Be on the cusp of what's going on, because obviously, how are you going to say to people that you know what's happening if you don't know what's happening, or if you don't like, talk about it?
True.
Yeah, those are like some of the things off the top of my head right now.
Thank you for that. Now, what is a misconception that you get almost every day about becoming a fashion journalist or the life or career of a fashion journalist?
People just think that because you like the fashion journalism, you're gonna be getting invites to like some of this like top fashion shows. Yeah, like you're gonna be getting a lot of PR. I don't even think I received any PR since I've begun to write. So people think that you're gonna get like this madass PR, or you're gonna be invited to this top fashion event, or you dress really, really amazing, you do this and you do. Those are like really, like fashion industry is it's so stressful, to be honest. Like forget about the glitz and the glamour, and it is so stressful. Trust me, you have to do so much, to be honest. Like you kind of have to like sacrifice so much. That's like a very huge misconception, how glamorous and glitzy the fashion industry is. So like fashion journalism in this case is they're gonna fly you out to cover South African Fashion Week. Oh, Chanel came to Senegal, they're gonna fly you out so you can also cover. It's gonna no, it doesn't really work like that.
All right. Now, we all know that writers are creatives, Sometimes when you're walking on the road, an idea hits you for your next article. Or even when you're in the bathroom, how do you keep track of creative ideas when the writing process begins?
So what I do is once it hits me, I just go on my email draft, for example. I think I have like 99 plus drafts, topic ideas. I just go on there and then I just drop it there immediately, because if I don't do it then, it's sure for me, see, I go forget. Like I know for a fact that I'm going to forget. So I just got my draft and I do it immediately. But also I go on my Google Docs, because Google Docs like saves automatically. I mean, I used to use my iPhone Note, but iPhone Notes, I don't know, like most times you could just restart your phone and then it's no longer there. So I just go on Google Docs and then I put it there. I have tons of drafts I've also made there, but those are like the major places that I do it. I go on my email draft, or I go on Google Docs, like just quickly, jot it down as fast as I can. Or if I don't have them and I have like a book and a pen, I just go on and quickly scribble it before I forget.
All right. Speaking of creativity, what role does storytelling play in your content writing process?
Oh, storytelling plays 100% role in my content writing process. It literally plays 100% role.
Okay.
Right. If you even check my LinkedIn profile, I don't just go and just write. Like I kind of want to tell you how my day went, what did I do today. Then I'll now use it to like, create that content that's going to tie into fashion or beauty or culture.
Okay.
So I don't write from a place of non-experience, to be honest. Because I just feel like I don't have an authority to do that. I feel like if you're going to write about queer people, you kind of have to be a queer person. If you're going to write about religion, you kind of have to like experience both worlds if you want to do that. So storytelling does, personally, it really does.
Okay. Now, I know you mentioned Google Docs, but what other tools do you use day to day as part of your workflow?
So currently, I'm now trying to use Miro. Miro is like one of the major things now that's happening. Either Miro or Miro. You know, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Miro.
I think it's Miro.
Yeah. So it's like one of the major things now that everybody's trying to use. It really helps. I'm currently using it because obviously I'm in fashion school now. So you want to have like a place where you keep your projects. So I use Miro. I use Canva.
Okay.
Obviously Google Docs. That's like the major one for me. Google Docs.
Definitely.
Yeah, because Google Docs, I use it to draft my pitch ideas. I use it to draft the actual documents. I literally use it to construct my CV and my cover letter as well.
I think Google Docs is like that family member everyone has.
It's like, she's that girl. Yeah, exactly. She's that girl. Like, it's her. So I use Google Docs a lot, but I'm also using PowerPoint as well now because I'm trying to like do so much more for myself.
I've always run away from that.
No, you kind of have to use PowerPoint because in school you literally are always having assessments and assignments, or we want you to create a presentation about this campaign, want you to do this and do that. So you have to use PowerPoint. Mm-hmm. And also I use Google Spreadsheet because something I have learned recently from other people is keeping track of your pitch, of the pitches that you send out. So I have a Google Spreadsheet where pitches I've sent out out. I have them. Did I get a response? Do I have to follow up and all of that? And also have like another spreadsheet where I have names of editors and their emails. Where do they work? What stories do they like to commission? I have all of that, so I can always reach out to them in case I have stories that can work for them as well. So yeah, Google spreadsheet, PowerPoint presentation, Google Docs, and Miro. Then there's Canva.
Okay, that's very organized.
Yeah, I don't really think I'm that organized, to be honest, but I think I'm trying.
You're doing it way better than I am.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that, to be honest.
All right, then. Winding down, what are some mistakes that you've made along your career journey, and what lessons did you learn from them?
Oh, number one mistake I know I made was pitching obsessively to an editor or to any editor.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't ever do that, because at some point it's gonna feel like, because at some point I'm like, did you even read this pitch? Because the whole, oh yeah, sorry, it's a pass. Oh yeah, we're gonna pass. Oh yeah, sorry, we're gonna. It feels like you don't want to work with me. Like, if you know you want to work with me, just let me know. You know, that's kind of what I always thought, because then I was pitching back to back. If you reject my pitch today, in like 2 hours, I'm going to send you another one. Exactly. So, you know, and that's honestly a mistake, because then most editors are going to think that you didn't take the time to read about the publication to know whether or not it's going to work. It's going to work. The story that you're pitching is going to work for them. So that's one of the major mistakes I made, pitching without looking back. I was pitching story ideas.
Yeah.
You know, I was... In retrospect, it was very, very bad. Like, I was pitching back to back. So definitely avoid that if you can. Another I did was not respecting people's privacy. That's the privacy of the editors. So I know one of the editors who actually blocked me. And before they blocked me, they actually assaulted me.
Wow.
And I'm like,
That's
you know
a lot.
what? Yeah, I deserve it 100%, because to be fair, they told me, do you think we can move this conversation to the email? Because then I was stalking them on Instagram. I was like, hi, I have this really amazing idea for you. And they're like, oh, okay. You know, and they're like, I try to separate work from social media, so please don't send me anything here. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And then after a few weeks, they didn't respond to me. And then I saw that they commissioned somebody. And I reached out to them on Instagram again, like, and the editor literally just like took me out. Like, they took me out from their following, because they were following me at the time. They removed me from, they stopped following me. They removed me from their followers list as well.
Oh, wow.
And I think but I don't think they blocked on email anyways, but I think they left the magazine now. But yeah, you kind of want to respect people's privacy. I wish I realized that on time. You know, I mean, it's not LinkedIn where you can just go, because obviously LinkedIn has like, you know, placed itself as like this professional job.
It's more or less like expected for you to send messages like that.
Yeah. So not Instagram. Elvis. But I wish I knew that. But yeah, I did that. That's like another mistake I made. Another mistake I also would love like people to avoid is, to be honest, is thinking that, honestly, it's something I struggle with, but like it's imposter syndrome. It's that idea that I don't think I'm good enough. You know, even with all of the things that I have had, I'm still like, you have not written for here, you have not written here, you have not done this, you have not worked here. Like, who do you think you are, and all of that. It really just begins to dampen on your self-confidence and how well you think you are, or how great you are in, you know, a particular thing. So at times where that begins to happen, I just begin to run away. Whatever I know causes me to think like that, I try to block it basically. So I go on social media detox. I try not to do anything, just talk to a few friends, and that's all I do.
Doesn't that worsen the imposter syndrome though?
No, but I don't think it does, to be honest, because obviously now I am no longer exposed to the thing that makes me feel like, oh, I'm no longer worth it. Because somebody might just write for this byline, and I have been pitching to this editor, like this editor has been posting me. Like,
and this person got it like on a platter.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like, oh, this person has been doing it, you know. But so I go on like this detox, because then I no longer get to see it, and everybody's happy, because I don't feel jealous of anybody. We're literally all on our own journeys. You get what I mean? We're gonna get there. It's just gonna take time, but you definitely get there. Another mistake is obvious comparing, you know, your work to the work of other people. Oh shit, like this person is doing so well. Look at them, this, that, and that, yada, yada, yada. And you know, it's really not great. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, obviously, you're 3 years into this thing. Like, the people you're comparing yourself with have been on for 7-8 years. Like, please, let's get real. Do you get what I mean? So those are like some of the things I know I struggled with, or the mistakes I know I made, and I'd honestly love for other people not to do that. As much as nature down is very important, you also want to explore. You know, you want to find your interests, to be honest. You want to find what's going to work for you. Are you interested in writing, or would you rather do something much more different?
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of something that I was lucky enough, honestly, to learn that this is where I kind of want to stay in. This is where I want to build something off of. But most people might not really have that. So you kind of want to also explore as well. But just make sure that whilst you're doing that, your time is not passing. Yeah, like you're not chasing after something very amiss. Just make sure that it's very substantial. Anyways, that's kind of what I would say.
I think I get that. I get that. All right. On a lighter note,
yeah, because that was very deep.
Yeah. On a lighter note, what are some of the successes and accomplishments along your writing career journey? I would start for you. I would say the first one would be the $900 project.
You know, like that was gonna be what.
So I'll start for you. All right, go ahead.
You know, like I was gonna say how I was gonna go into this question was I was gonna say, I think most of the accomplishments, most people might not recognize it, but they're very personal to me, and that's because of the money I have received from it. But I can't really post about it because it's not something you can just post about. You know, it's not like, oh, this byline. Yeah.
Especially from where, again, I can relate because of what the country we're coming from.
You know,
I think I remember when I think it was Tayo, you know, he made this video about earnings and all of that, and then people started attacking those people instead of actually learning from it. So yeah, I think I can relate to that.
Like, oh, why is somebody living in the house? I think I saw a lot of the backlash as well. Like, why somebody living here? Why would somebody have a kitchen as this? You know, but this is somebody's life. They're literally getting close to $90,000. What did you expect? You should learn, you know,
how
this
to
money
even become like them.
Exactly, rather than just doing that. But yeah, the bulk of the best things that I've had. But it's really not even about the money, to be honest. It's just the fact that I can't really post about it because it wasn't like something that was published. You know, it was just, you know, very research based and just moved on from there. But the other one, which, you know, paid that much, it was like an ebook, so I really couldn't, you know, post it. But those are like the biggest accomplishments. But also the not so big ones, which are honestly really big as well, is the one with the BBC. I'm always talking about like, oh my god, you know, I'm currently on the BBC. I think I was like one of the first Nigerian persons to contribute to Essence magazine as well.
Standing ovation.
Yeah, like that was also really big for me. No, I remember when I did our Fashion Week and I felt so elated because then Lagos Fashion Week and Style House Files also posted it, so that kind of also boosted, you know, my social presence. That was also really good. I also really contributed to OK Africa, which is like one of the, you know, most revered publications that focuses on like African news and stuff. Where are these things? Oh yeah, so I've taught like MA students, which is honestly going to always go on my board. That was such a defining moment for me.
That was cool.
No, that was very good. I can't even lie. That was very good. I can't even lie. You know, doing that, teaching MA students in the UK whilst I was in Nigeria, and doing that with South African students, South African BA students as well, whilst I was in Nigeria, was also really, really good. Until now, it's like the major thing on my CV. Oh, I have, you know, taught MA and BA students. That was really good. I remember when the course leader reached out to me, and you know, we went to like this really long Zoom call. We're talking about it. Oh, how is it gonna go? What is it gonna be? Oh, and also I did research work for Bloomsbury. It's about awareness and fashion industry in Africa. So Bloomsbury is like this.
I think I read that on your portfolio.
Yeah, this Bloomsbury thing. Bloomsbury is this publishing house. So they publish fashion stories and like fashion news. And fun fact, when I went to fashion school, they literally posted. They didn't post my work. Like let's not think that happened. I saw the publisher on one of the screens. I was like, oh my god, like I've really actually, you know, made a 4,000 word piece to these people. That was also a defining moment for me as well. So yeah, I think those are like really, really amazing achievements. BBC, Essence, Thomson Reuters, which is also like a very big publication, and then going on to lecture BA, MA students, and then having my piece on one of the biggest fashion publishing platforms in, you know, in the globe.
All right then. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course, no, I had so much fun talking to you. I can't even lie. This was such
I really had fun
you
talking
know,
about
because
this too.
the bulk of the times I'm always the person who is asking questions like, oh, tell us about your plan, how did you do this and that. So it's really nice to be on the other side to also experience, you know, what it feels like. But also I can't even lie, I do talk. So yeah, but yeah, thank you very much for having me. I genuinely had a good time.
Thank you so much too. And thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being open. Thank you for the entire gist. Basically.
Oh, I'm much of a talker. I just realized I really like to, I did talk like stay.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of Marketing Over Wine. To listen to more career stories of marketing professionals around the world, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app of your choice. Or simply visit marketingoverwine.com to stay up to date.